friends, so we are another 100 pages in or thereabouts. This is the part page 222 to page 317. So good sort of look how far I am into it. It's going really quickly, really quickly. I know that's because I'm really enjoying it, but I also kind of don't want it to end. But at least there's 2 more books in the series, which I may have to go and order today just so that I have them ready. I may have to binge read this whole series in this month. So in these 100 pages, I think that my overwhelming feeling is how well Patrick Ness is plotting this novel. I mean, there are some authors that you read, the story is a long build-up through most of the book until you get right to the last sort of, I don't know, last five or 10 chapters, and then it all goes wild, and all the stories kind of merge, and it's like a big epic finale. With this book, because it's split up into little parts, there seems to be sort of lots of mini finales and lots of mini interesting plot points, and this part has thrown me a little bit. I've actually felt some really interesting emotions reading this part. I am going to have to remind myself though here briefly, because there were some things I really did want to talk about. So you start off this part with Todd and Viola walking through the wilderness away from Far Branch, and the army has reached Far Branch and is just completely they're hunting them. They're being hunted by this army of men, and we still don't really know why. At first you might be fooled into thinking it's because Viola is there because she's a girl, because as far as we knew, and as far as Todd knew, in Prentice Town there were only men. So the fact that Viola is there now, I thought it could have been that, but as obviously the novel has progressed, there are more women, and that was a lie. So it's not that, they're hunting something for some other reason, and I still don't know what that is. So that's quite an interesting mystery yet to be solved. There's a lovely part where they meet a guy called Wilf, and Wilf is sort of, from Todd's point of view, seems a bit of a simpleton and a bit sort of, I don't know how to explain it, just that he doesn't think he's very intelligent, so he thinks that he can fool him by lying through his noise. Does that make sense? But I think Wilf is more than he seems. I think Wilf has got a little bit more going on upstairs anyway, at least, than Todd gives him credit for, and I think that's what Todd has to learn. I think that an overwhelming lesson so far in this book, certainly for Todd, is that he can't know a man just because he can hear his noise. I think that's what this chunk of the book is proving to me, that Todd might be able to hear what noise is coming from other men, and there's the absence of noise in the women, which is also a really interesting point that we haven't spoken about, that women don't have noise and men have noise. So that's fascinating in itself. There's a lovely description of that, like the men's noise is a brook, is a babbling brook, and the women's noise are the stones or pebbles that the brook has to go round. Kind of, that's the void of water, and I really like that description. Such a vivid way to describe it. Well done, Patrick. And I think that was a really interesting point, and I think that hopefully that'll get explained. I kind of do want to know why men have noise and women don't. That interests me. So we'll see where that goes. That hasn't been explained yet. And so there was a lovely part then, the lovely part with Wilf, where they jump on his cart because they think he is a simpleton, and they jump on his cart and he takes them through this massive herd of sort of giant, they're kind of like cows, but they have horns and furry tails, and they're massive things. There's a whole herd of them, and actually Todd didn't even consider they might actually get trampled by this herd. He didn't think that. He could think he could just walk right through, and Wilf was like, nah, jump on. So they go on this cart, and the herd's noise is this, they just say the word here, or if you're from Wales, here, over and over again, and they describe it like a song, like lots of different tones and melodies, all of the same word, blending together, in this beautiful expanse of noise, and Viola gets tears in her eyes and she just thinks, wow, this is beautiful, and the message of this herd is here, you know, everything is here, here is now, there's nothing else but here. And I actually quite like that message too. That was a lovely moment. I really liked that little bubble of calm before, to be fair, a bit of chaos does ensue, and the chaos comes. And okay, I'm going to try not to spoil this part for you because it is quite significant, especially in Todd's development. I mean, the first thing is that this isn't so much a spoiler, but this character that spoke about before, Aaron, he has turned up, and he takes Viola and he stabs Todd. Todd is okay, he's hurt, but he's okay. And that was quite a really interesting plot point, because now Todd's by himself. Well, there's little dog Manchi, who I haven't spoken about. Can we just talk about Manchi for a second? Manchi is a little dog, and the noise affects dogs and animals too, in case, obviously, because you could hear the herd in what I just said. But men and women can hear the animals' thoughts too. But what's really, really interesting is every animal's thoughts are different, and Todd's dog Manchi is like, Todd, food, poo, squirrel, and it's like a dog would think, and that's fab. I love that. I love Manchi. He's really, really cute and cool and helpful, and what a heroic little pup. So he's cool. What was my point? I digressed. A horrible, horrible thing happens, and actually I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but actually Todd does it, and I feel like it was actually quite difficult to read. It was described very visceral, and it's violent, and Todd does it, and he's full of rage, and we haven't really seen, I think, that side of Todd yet. He's been angry through quite a lot of this book. Understandably, he's been lied to all his life. His parents have died, his new parents have left him, discovered this whole world, his whole world was a lie, and he's been bubbling, and he's forced to run, and he's really having a bit of a shit time, to be honest. But he it kind of culminates at this point in the book, in this block of pages. I'm not going to say what happens, but I read it and I felt instantly like, Todd, what are you doing? Why have you done that? I understand why you've done it, but it's part of his lesson, I think, part of him learning that he is becoming a man, and what that means in this world that they live in. And Viola's reaction to it is really was my reaction to it, I think. Viola just backed away from him, and I was like, what have you done, you stupid little boy? And I think that was the first time, you know, there's all this talk through the book about him becoming a man, and he's counting down, there's 30 days, 29 days until he becomes a man, and that's significant on this planet. And it's not significant here, but it is young. He's 13, you know, and I think that's quite an interesting idea too, when you become a man and what that means and how you become a man. And I think that, and again, this is something that Todd knows. He has seen in somebody else's noise, I forget who, how you become a man, and he hasn't told us what that is. So that's interesting. So we don't know what that is yet. I'm sure it'll all become clear as the book goes on. But Viola's reaction was fascinating to this this outburst from Todd, and you know what? You're still on Todd's side despite what he's done. You still are. I mean, through the book, he thinks of himself as a coward, and he thinks of himself as weak when it comes to confrontation, or when it comes to doing something violent. And he can't go through with some things in this book because he pulls himself back. And I think I identify with that. I'm not a violent person at all. So for him to do that was, I very much identified with him. And it gets to a point at this part of the book where he doesn't stop himself being violent, and he doesn't hold back, and I think that it is based on the lies of his past, and I understand why he did it, but at the same time I was gutted for him that he did, because it's almost like his morals as a boy, he thinks that they should be different as a man, because that's what he's grown up around. But actually, his morals as a boy, as he is now, are what would have made him, or what will make him, a good man. So I really, really like Todd. I do. I'm sort of glad he's done what he's done, in a way, so that he can learn from it, because I think this is a massive learning curve for him. And I think that was really, really, really fascinating. And then he goes through this horrendous sort of trial by himself in the woods, where he's trying to find Violet because they've been separated. And him alone for that whole chapter was really harrowing. Bless his heart. And he's in pain, and he hasn't eaten, he hasn't drunk anything, and he's just stumbling through this empty world, and he's just trying to find his way. And I guess that's kind of a bigger message for the book and all the characters in the book. But the plot hasn't stopped. It hasn't stopped picking up, and I don't think it's got any sign of stopping. And I haven't got any sign of stopping. I mean, I've got stuff to do today. I've got things to do this morning. I've got my niece's birthday party this afternoon. It's lovely. Chloe is 3 today, which is fab and lush. But I really, really do want to continue reading. And I think, I mean, I'm going to be finishing this really, really soon. I've got to order the next 2. I have to. I thoroughly, thoroughly like this book. I'm so glad I do. It's one of my most favoritist things that I've read in a really, really long time. Really, really like it. So anyway, I'm going to leave you to it, guys. I've spoken for a really long time. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next 100 pages. Oh my gosh, I am so excited.